The ingredient label on a gallon of milk should say one thing: milk. That is what your grandparents bought. That is what most people still assume they are buying. But if you flip over the 10 most popular milk brands in the United States right now, most of them have more than one ingredient. Some have 5, some have 6. And 2 of them are not really milk at all. They are engineered beverages designed to look, pour, and taste like milk while being something else entirely. These are 10 milk brands sold in every grocery store in America, and only 2 of them contain nothing but pure milk. Subscribe to our channel. Let us go through them one at a time. Number 10, Borden, one of the oldest dairy brands in America. Founded in 1857, their mascot, Elsie the cow, is one of the most recognized brand characters in U.S. history. Borden whole milk lists milk, vitamin A palmitate, and vitamin D3. 3 ingredients. Their farmers pledge not to use RBST growth hormones, but the milk is still conventional, still pooled from multiple farms, still ultra-pasteurized in some product lines, and still fortified with synthetic vitamins. Borden filed for bankruptcy in 2020, less than 2 months after Dean Foods did the same. 2 of America's oldest dairy companies collapsed within weeks of each other. The milk kept showing up on shelves under the same name. Most people never noticed. Number 9, Shamrock Farms. Based in Arizona, it is one of the largest family-owned dairies in the country. Their standard whole milk lists milk, vitamin A palmitate, and vitamin D3, 3 ingredients, but their lactose-free version adds lactase enzyme, carrageenan, and tricalcium phosphate. Carrageenan is a thickener extracted from red seaweed that has been linked, in some studies, to gastrointestinal inflammation. The FDA considers it safe. The European Union has stricter limits on its use. The same brand sells a clean organic version with no additives and a processed lactose-free version with thickeners and stabilizers. Same company, same cows, different labels, different products. Number 8, Fairlife. This is the one most people are surprised by. Fairlife is owned by Coca-Cola. The label says ultra-filtered milk. What that means is the milk has been taken apart, separated into its base components, water, fat, protein, lactose, and minerals, then reassembled in different ratios. The result has 50% more protein and 50% less sugar than regular milk. It sounds like an upgrade until you read the label. Fairlife whole milk contains ultra-filtered milk, lactase enzyme, vitamin A palmitate, and vitamin D3. That is 4 ingredients, not 1. The lactase enzyme is added because the filtration process requires it. The vitamins are added back because the processing stripped them out. This is not milk with something extra. This is milk that was disassembled and rebuilt. In 2019, Fairlife also faced lawsuits after undercover footage revealed animal abuse at one of its supplying farms. Coca-Cola settled out of court. Number 7, Lactaid. Lactaid whole milk contains milk, lactase enzyme, vitamin A palmitate, and vitamin D3. Same 4 ingredients as Fairlife. The lactase enzyme breaks down lactose, so people with lactose intolerance can drink it. That is a legitimate medical purpose, but it is still not pure milk. It is milk with an enzyme added during processing. Lactaid is owned by the pharmaceutical company that makes Tylenol and Zyrtec, a pharmaceutical company selling milk. That is the American dairy industry in one sentence. Number 6. Great Value, Walmart's store brand, the most purchased milk in the United States by volume. Great Value whole milk lists milk, vitamin A palmitate, and vitamin D3, 3 ingredients. The milk itself comes from conventional dairy farms, where cows may or may not have been treated with RBST, a synthetic growth hormone that is banned in the European Union, Canada, Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. The FDA approved it in 1993. At its peak in 2002, about 22% of American dairy cows were receiving the hormone. Walmart's label says their milk comes from cows not treated with RBST, but adds the FDA disclaimer that no significant difference has been shown between milk from treated and untreated cows. Over 30 countries decided there was enough of a difference to ban it entirely. Number 5. Horizon Organic. Owned by Danone, a French company, Horizon is the largest organic milk brand in the United States. Their whole milk lists organic milk, vitamin A palmitate, and vitamin D3, 3 ingredients. The organic label means no synthetic hormones, no antibiotics, and cows must have access to pasture for at least 120 days per year. That sounds good until you learn what 120 days actually means. It means that for 245 days of the year, those cows can be indoors eating grain. Organic does not mean grass-fed. It does not mean pasture-raised. It means a minimum standard was met, and that minimum is lower than most people think. The Cornucopia Institute, a farm policy group, has repeatedly given Horizon low ratings for the gap between their marketing and their actual farming practices. Number 4, Kirkland Organic, Costco's store brand. Kirkland Organic whole milk lists organic milk, vitamin A palmitate, and vitamin D3, 3 ingredients. Similar to Horizon, the organic certification comes with the same baseline rules: 120 days of pasture access, no synthetic hormones, no antibiotics. But Kirkland sources from large-scale organic operations that look more like conventional dairy factories than the small farms on the carton. The label meets the legal definition of organic. Whether it meets the consumer's definition is a different question. Number 3, Dairy Pure, Kroger, Publix, Target, Safeway. This is where most of America's milk lives. Store brand conventional whole milk, whether it says Dairy Pure, Kroger, Publix, or Simple Truth, almost always lists the same 3 ingredients: milk, vitamin A, palmitate, and vitamin D3. The milk is sourced from conventional farms across the country, pooled together at centralized processing plants, pasteurized at high temperatures, homogenized to prevent cream from separating, and standardized so that every gallon has exactly the same fat content. Dairy Pure was the flagship brand of Dean Foods, once the largest dairy company in America, which filed for bankruptcy in 2019. Their label made 5 promises: no artificial growth hormones, all milk tested for antibiotics, continuously quality tested, only from cows fed a healthy diet, and cold, shipped fresh from local dairies. Most of those promises are already required by federal law for any milk sold in the U.S. They are not special. They are baseline. This is not the milk your grandparents drank. Their milk came from one farm, in glass bottles, with cream floating on top. It arrived at the door 2 or 3 days after it left the cow. Today's version comes from dozens of farms, is trucked to a centralized facility, processed through multiple stages, fortified with synthetic vitamins, and can sit on a shelf for weeks. This is a good place to stop and explain what those added vitamins actually are. Vitamin A palmitate is a synthetic form of vitamin A suspended in a carrier solution that typically includes corn oil, polysorbate 80, propylene glycol, and glycerol monooleate. Vitamin D3 is produced by irradiating lanolin, a waxy substance extracted from sheep's wool. These are the standard fortification ingredients in virtually every gallon of milk sold in the United States. They have been added since the 1930s to prevent rickets and vitamin A deficiency. It is not a conspiracy. It is public health policy. But it does mean that almost every carton of milk in the country contains ingredients that are not milk, and most people have no idea. Number 2, True Moo, flavored milk. True Moo chocolate milk contains low-fat milk, sugar, cocoa, processed with alkali, cornstarch, salt, carrageenan, natural and artificial flavors, and vitamin A palmitate and vitamin D3. That is 9 ingredients. Carrageenan is a thickener extracted from red seaweed that has been linked in some studies to gastrointestinal inflammation. The FDA considers it safe. The European Union has stricter limits on its use. True Moo is marketed to children. The sugar content in a single serving is 14 grams, almost as much as the same amount of Coca-Cola. This is not milk. This is dessert in a milk carton. Number 1, the 2 that are actually pure. Only 2 widely available milk brands in the United States sell whole milk with a single ingredient, milk. Organic Valley Grass Milk and Kelowna. Supernatural Organic Whole Milk. Organic Valley. Grass milk lists 1 ingredient, organic whole milk. No added vitamins, no vitamin A, palmitate, no vitamin D3. The cows are 100% grass-fed, pasture raised, and the milk is pasteurized at the minimum temperature required by law to preserve as much of the natural composition as possible. Kalona Supernatural is similar. One ingredient: organic whole milk, minimally pasteurized, non-homogenized, which means the cream rises to the top like it did in every bottle of milk before the 1950s. The milk looks, pours, and tastes different from everything else on the shelf because it is different. It is what milk was before the industry decided to take it apart and put it back together. The reason only 2 brands sell pure milk is not that pure milk is hard to make. It is that pure milk is hard to scale. It expires faster. It looks different in the jug because the cream separates. It costs more to produce because grass-fed cows make less milk. And it cannot sit on a shelf for 3 weeks waiting to be bought. The entire modern dairy system was redesigned around shelf life, not nutrition. Around consistency, not quality. Around the needs of the supply chain, not the needs of the person drinking it. The brands on this list are not all equal. Some are closer to real milk than others, but only 2 of them are actually fully, completely just milk, and they are the hardest ones to find on the shelf. Subscribe to our channel. That was your milk. Now think about your butter, your cheese, your yogurt. If this is what they did to the simplest product in the dairy aisle, what did they do to the rest of it?